Greetings, chaotic and YouTube fans. We're back with another chaotic deck profile. My third and final deck, Overworld Elementalist Hero Deck 2.0. So, like before, I've upgraded my two decks, and this time I'm showing my upgraded Overworld deck to support 15 creatures, battle gear, and music. But I'm not showing how I'd put them on my team. That would spoil the fun. Anyway, someone commented that in one of my old videos if I built a Danian deck. Danians aren't bad, but I don't know. They're just not for me. It's either hive ability, infecting, or something else. It felt like it was too complicated. Same with Marillions. You have the brainwash minions, the fluid morphers, the chieftains, the coral fighters. It was just really hard to pick. I would personally, if I had to pick a fourth deck, I'd choose Marillions because the chieftains look super cool, in my opinion. Well, this is an Overworld Elementalist Hero deck, so let's get to it. Starting with the attack cards. Some things are still the same, but some of my cards have changed. A Sudden Flare attack card. Quick Exit, since Overworlders have good wisdom. Out Freeze. And since this is an Elementalist deck, all my creatures can do fire, water, and earth attacks. Rust Toxic. They're also, all my Overworlders have good courage. So, Mineral Mayhem. That can help me. And a Clean Slide. It's an earth Primordial Rage. One of my strong attack cards, Rain Spears. Pretty good. A Consuming Flame. Another Quick Exit. Earth Pulse. Fire Ring. I might damage myself, but it's still a pretty good card to use. Another strong Tacto Strike. Since it's an Earth Courage challenge, be perfect for my Maxor to use. Flood Force. Shadow Strike. Some of my creatures also have Outperform in courage and wisdom, so that'd be helpful to save those for that. Incessant Wave, good water coverage. Another Flood Force. So the most attack cards I have are Earth, followed by, or maybe it's Water. Water and Earth are in first place, and Fire's in third of most attack cards, since my Underworlders use fire attacks. Earth Pulse. I could perhaps just make it a water and earth deck, but there's some good fire attacks to use, and I couldn't really find any other good water and earth elemental attacks. I mean, Vine Snare and Ember Swarm. I mean, Riptide and Vine Snare. Yeah, that does 10 damage, but Sudden Flare does, or Consuming Flame does 15. So instead of, and finally, last attack card, Sunderground. When Maxor used it to beat Heptad, it sounded super cool. Sunderground! Another day in paradise. Now for locations, Gigantum Topless. Why does the initiative have to be power, though? My Overworlder gains an extra Magician. I have Music where I want to use over and over again, so it's always good to get more Magicians. But I just hate that the initiative is power. Wish it was Wisdom or Courage, because what if I face an Underworlder? Then I'm screwed. Rock River Canyon. All all my creatures have Earth, so they'll get a 10 energy boost. It's a good card. Castle Boldrin. I'm planning to use a bunch of music, so it's good to get music back. I just hope I don't draw this as my very first location. That'll throw my game off. Sorry about that. Adjusting the camera. Kiru City, capital of the Overworld. All my Overworlders gain 10 energy. It's all about my This is sort of like a tank deck meant to outlast my opponent while hitting them with good attacks. Let's see, next location, Skeletal Springs. Since I've got a good amount of water attacks, and the initiative is Overworld, I'll have water 5. So I'll try to save all my water attacks for unless it's absolutely necessary. Castle Pillar to bring a music back. I'm pretty confident my Overworlders will have the best wisdom, so they'll get the Magician. Just like Gigantum Topless. Passageway to the Overworld. I've got stuff that allows me to gain elements, so I'll get 10 energy easily here. Another Castle Boldrin. Still a risky strategy, but good card to use. You can see why it was. When Tom got this location, after losing Maxor, it became one of his favorites. We just never saw it being used at all. We only saw it again when he was going scanning to battle Codemaster Hotek. Another Gigantum Topless, because I need all the Magicians I can get. And you can probably guess, but Kiru City. 10 locations, 20 attack cards. Now for music. Got a Melody of Mirage. If you've seen my older videos, you know I have Heptad on my team as well. I thought about Cannon of Casualty, but I think this would be a safe, better option. That way my opponent loses one of their strong attack cards. It's also meant to protect Maxor, so he can build up his strength. You'll know what I mean in a moment. Fluid Fuge Music. Really good healing. And if you use, the best way to use this card is if you combined it with Nadrin, High Muge of the Lake. Sorry for shaking there, something was floating around in my face. Dust particles. Interlude of Interruption. This is kind of like a Refrain of Denial, but if my opponent is desperate, they'll use an additional music to cast. It can still be pretty useful. Have them waste their Magicians, or not at all. Aethium of Stone to gain in case my creatures need Earth, and Harmonics of Water in case my creatures need water. And as I've heard, but I finally learned, these only last for 1 turn, unfortunately. So if my creature gains an element by using this music, it only lasts till the end of the battle. It is unfortunate, but yeah, what are you going to do? Nope, not all cards can be God cards. Get it? Yu-Gi-Oh reference. Anyway, Fanfare of the Elemental Champions. This is the same as these 2 generics, but since I only have Overworlders, I can pick any element, and it gains element 5. So this is much better than Hema of the Elements. And I was told it only lasts till the end of the turn. I think I said that. Rhyme of the Reckless. Risky card, but it could have good results. So if I'm dealt, if I get hit with a Fire Ram, which does 30 damage, Rhyme of the Reckless fires 30 damage right back at him. Plus, I could combo it with Techno Strike or Rain Spears. That'll be 30 more damage. That'll be 60 damage. Since your opponent attacked. Music Rephrase. It's a good card, but I already got locations to bring Music back. I only use Music Rephrase if I'm truly desperate. Refrain of Denial. Good card to use. It just destroys any music, even though it costs 2. Better than Interlude of Interruption since it destroys it completely. And a second Fluid Fuge, which I'm mainly going to be using on Maxor to keep them in the game. Because you know what, if you see my old videos, you know which Maxor I'm using. Alright, now for my 10 creatures in battle gear. So I've actually swapped some battle gear out, and some of my creatures now have max energy. If you see my previous Overworld video, you'll know that not all my creatures had max energy. Only one creature I feel is incomplete right now in this deck. And I'm still looking, but I decide to show it. I'll show them anyway. But got Citadel Fragments, and the creature this is going to is Arctis. Heptad Squire. Now, some of you are probably wondering, this is different from the last video. Oh yeah, looking at his ability up close, not as good as I thought. He needs to be next to a creature to have all the elements. I could have given him the elemental Pauldron battle gear. Or no, it's called the... Yeah, Pauldrons. I gave him that before, but I realized it belonged with a different creature that could put it to better use, so I just gave him Citadel Fragments. I still wanted Arctis on my team because I'm that kind of guy who I wanted at least one creature from Fire and Stone on here, and he was the only. It was either him or Bodil, and I wanted Arctis instead. If you saw my previous videos, I chose Cybernox from Fire and Stone. The only Mapedian that was released early in Fire and Stone was Malvadine, King's Herald, but I couldn't get him. Believe me, if I get a chance to get Malvadine, King's Herald, I'll gladly put him in my Warbeast Strike deck. He is awesome. Next order of business. Next card. Another Citadel Fragments for the perfect creature to combo with it. Heptad himself, who can use Melody of Mirage. Sorry, bad allergies. So he'll get 20 energy and 20 to all his stats. So that'll be pretty good. He'll have 75 energy. A Citadel Lodestone as my next. This goes to Somnor. He's a pretty good card. And Defender of Water. Sure, he was used by a bad guy in Peyton's, fantasy chaotic card game, but it's good to, he's a good card to have, so that's why I added him, to protect my other Overworlders. Elemental Pauldrons. I took this from Arctis and gave it to a creature who I thought would have a better use for it. Dalgad. And just so you know, this Dalgad has max energy, but the problem is, he's the incomplete card I was talking about earlier. I want him to have 60 courage. That's the max his courage can go to, but couldn't find one. So yeah, I already used up all my Citadel Lodestones, so gave him an Elementalist Pauldron. So now, that way he can use Earth, and any elemental attack he does an additional 5 damage. So he gets 5 energy, giving him 15 power. And he'll always have Earth if I keep one of my other creatures with Earth in the back. He would be... I swapped battle. Instead of the Destructozuka, since I learned it only lasts 1 turn, I gave him this. And gave Arctis an extra elemental Pauldron. Sorry, I'm leaning to the side. Alright, next card. Gigantroper, belonging to Nadrin, High Muge of the Lake. I'm always putting him on my team, just like I did Copon and the Underworlders. He'll be casting. If he casts Fluid Fuge, he'll not lose any Magicians at all, because Nadrin plays one last Mugic counter card, minimum one. So if he only has to cast one, and since he can do water attacks, he'll gain a Magician. So he'll have 2 Magicians anyway. This is like awesome. That way he can use Refrain of Denial or Mugic Refreeze. His job's mainly to use Fluid Fuge. And then once he has no more Magicians, the Gigantroper will power him up so he can fight. Yep, I gave all my high Muges a Gigantroper instead of Stone Mail. Pretty cool, huh? Another Citadel Lodestone. Second one going to Ikatosh. Now I know what some of you are saying, that the other version of Ikatosh is better. Well, I for one like this one, because when a Muge like Nadrin or an Elementalist like Dalgad or Arctis for that matter win combat, they'll gain a Magician. And like I said, this is a tank deck that uses a lot of Mugic. And with Earth, he can at least defend himself. I would put him in the middle because he'd protect Nadrin. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, like I said, the high Muges are the best versions of their cards in my opinion. I don't know about lore. Lore Ancestral Caller from the Danians is just as good as lore High Muge of the Hive. But in my opinion, Nadrin High Muge of the Lake is the best out of all 4 versions of Nadrin. I guess Fluid Morpher's Foe would come in second, but I like this one more. It's better. And not just because he has water as an element. The other Nadrins don't have water as an element, but this one does. I like this ability more than Fluid Morpher's Foe. Let's see, next card. Orchrys of Undoing. This goes to my warrior girl, Avena. So, yeah. Just like before, I took the Destructozuka out and gave her an Orchrys of Undoing to give her water attacks. And if I have to, I can have one of my other creatures cast Aethium of Stone and Fanfare of the Elemental Champions to give her earth and fire attacks. She's a good card to have, even though she doesn't have any elements. At least she'll always have water. It's a risky strategy. She's better off in a status deck, or what is it, discipline? So she can use Outperform, Courage, and Wisdom. Well, a lot of my attacks have Courage and Wisdom checks. So she's one of the few. Since I put Nevena in my Underworld deck, I gotta put a Nevena in this deck. And she's kind of hot, just like her sister. What? Cat creature. So they're kind of cute. Sumi. The Sword of Kayat. You all know who this belongs to. My favorite version, Tangeth Toborn in Training. He is by far my most favorite Overworlder. When I saw him in episode 13, Battle Lessons, even though it was the original, Tangeth was so cool when he was used by Tom that time. Bursting out of Underworld City. Thought that is by far the coolest Overworld I've ever seen. And this version I think is the best version. 3 elements, 2 Magicians, really high energy. Can't go wrong with that. I could have given him a battle gear that boosts one of his elements, but I felt like the Sword of Kayat is better. And if I like do Rain Spear or Techno Strike, I'll do an additional damage with the Sword of Kayat. Next creature, Elementalist Pauldrons. I could have done, instead of a Destructozuka, this belongs to my now max energy interest nature force. I could have given her a flame chariot, but I thought this would be better. It would give her more power and extra energy. So, yeah, might as well give her that so she can stay in the fight longer. But second choice would be a sun chariot. However, yeah, I took the Destructizukas out of my Overworld deck, unless it's absolutely necessary, because they only last one turn. With Elementalist Pauldrons or Citadel Lodestone, they get to keep their elements forever. They don't lose them, as long as they're face up. They don't lose their back. And fun. Tongue twisted there. Next, Evergreen Tunic. I had chances to get the Zurium armor, but I chose not to because honestly, I feel like it's better to have more energy than a damage restrictor. The Maximum Man himself, Maxor, Protector of Param, as my ace of the Overworld deck. I would be using Nadrin with Fluid Fuge to always heal Maxor to keep him out. So he'll have 80 energy to start with. And if I have to use Interest ability, he'll gain 10 additional energy. Plus, I'll try to use Music to give Maxor water attacks. So he'll gain 15 energy. Because his ability is off the charts. If Maxor can survive the first battle, your opponent's already in trouble. Because let's say Maxor takes 4 attacks, but survives. The next battle, like say I do a Earth Pulse attack on the next battle, and he already has attack 20, that'll do 35 damage. Maxor will be almost unstoppable. So you got to keep him out and get him to survive at least the first battle. All right. These are my 10 Overworld creatures that I use. Now for the extra ones. The extra Music, Song of Resurgence, another Interlude of Interruption, good to have, another Fanfare of the Elemental Champions. I could add it here, but you never know when you need generic Music, like a Runic Grove. You could be in trouble. Another Rhyme of the Reckless, and another Refrain of Denial. I really love this song when it's played. Always feel really cool when it's played. Plus cannon and casualty. Now for my 5 extra creatures and battle gear. So if you saw my last 2 videos, you'll know I picked 2 minion creatures to go with each deck. Just 2. No more. And the first one is, Tartarex, Psy Overlord. He's pretty powerful, so I thought, why not? And I also, with the Carl Shard, this is just like Orcris of Undoing. He'll get water, and it'll stay that way. It's always face up on the field. I don't care about the Carl effect. Then we got a Drill Dozer. Best card I give to Gronmore. I thought about giving him a battle gear that boosts his water or earth attacks to like a Vlark Shard or Torn Cringe, since he has Fire 5, but I thought it'd be better to have more energy. So I gave him a Drill Dozer. These were the best 2 Overworld minions I could think of. Well, in my opinion, are the best ones to have in my Overworld deck. So yeah. A Magician's Lyre, if you remember who I'm doing next. Unda, Servant of Water, to give my creatures water, or to just simply cast Music. Some people are saying the servants aren't that good, but they can at least cast Music for you and give your creature the best element that you should have in your arsenal. Overworlders are good with water attacks too. Let's see. Sun Chariot for Silchaw. He's a good elementalist. His ability is not that good, but I thought might as well have him. With the Sun Chariot, he can do fire attacks. None of my locations have an element initiative, so that's why he's up here instead of in my main 10. And finally, my favorite one of the extra 5, a Sun Chariot for him as well. You've seen him before if you've seen my old videos. Frafto the Hero. It's a risky strategy, but with giving him a Sun Chariot, but I thought this would be cool. But that's why he's up here in my main 5, my side 5, instead of here with Avena, because I have to put him in the back, and what if I don't have any music left? I can't give him water, earth. Since this is an Elementalist hero deck, it's better to have creatures with the 3 elements I use. But I just couldn't resist adding Frafto. He's just as cool as Tangoth, Toborn, Intressa, and Maxor. Sorry, light's reflecting. Well, there we go. I want to thank you again for watching my video and check of my Chaotic Overworld Elementalist Hero Deck 2.0. Just like my other Underworlder and Mapedian decks, I believe Chaotic will come back someday. And I hope it's this year. We'll get some new clues. I don't know anything. I just wanted to show my cards to everyone that there's still people out there who believe in Chaotic. And I'm just sticking with my 3 favorite ones. Overworlders, Underworlders, Mapedians, and Danians. Underworlders and Mapedians, not Danians. Danians just don't feel like my style. I have nothing against them. A lot of people love Danians, and that's fine. I just picked... Mapedians are my favorite tribe, because they remind me of dinosaurs and dragons. The war beasts are super cool, and so is their invisibility. I mainly like Underworlders and Overworlders but only because of Maxor and Kaor. So anyone connected to those 2, I made a deck built around them. That's the reason why my Overworld Elementalist Hero deck. Thanks again, and let's go get chaotic.